the happiness you're not looking for. What if I told you that the happiest people you know might not actually have better lives than you? They may not have more money. They may not have the perfect relationship. They may not wake up every morning feeling motivated, and yet somehow they seem lighter. They laugh more easily. They recover faster. They enjoy ordinary moments that most people completely ignore. Here's the strange part. Most of us are searching for happiness in places where happiness rarely stays. We think when I make more money, I'll be happy. When I find the right person, I'll be happy. When I get that promotion, when I finally lose the weight, when my life becomes easier, then I'll finally feel good. But what if happiness doesn't arrive after your life becomes perfect? What if happiness is something you quietly build while your life is still imperfect? Let me tell you a short story. There was a man named Daniel who spent years chasing what he called the good life. He worked harder. He bought nicer things. He moved into a better apartment. He upgraded his phone. He started making more money. From the outside, Daniel looked successful. But every night, when he came home, something felt missing. One evening, after another exhausting day, Daniel sat alone in his car. He looked at the expensive watch on his wrist and whispered, "I have everything I thought would make me happy, so why don't I feel happy?" The next morning, something unusual happened. Daniel stopped trying to find happiness. Instead, he started paying attention to the tiny things that made him feel alive. And over the next few months, he discovered something that changed his life. Happiness had been around him the entire time. He had simply been too busy chasing the big things to notice the small ones. Today, we're going to uncover 10 habits that secretly create that kind of happiness. And number 7 is especially interesting because it looks almost useless at first. But once you understand why it works, you may never look at an ordinary day the same way again. Habit number 1. Stop rushing through your life. The first habit is incredibly simple. Slow down. Not forever. Not by quitting your job and moving to a cabin in the mountains. Just slow down enough to actually experience your life. Think about how most mornings begin. Alarm, phone, notifications, messages, work, traffic, deadlines, more notifications, more work. Then suddenly it's nighttime. You look back at the day and realize you were there, but you didn't really experience it. You were physically present, but mentally somewhere else. And that's one of the strangest ways people lose happiness. They keep waiting for a big moment to enjoy life. The vacation, the weekend, the birthday, the promotion, the trip. But life isn't mostly made of those moments. Life is mostly made of ordinary Tuesday mornings. Coffee, walking outside, talking to someone you love, listening to music, taking a shower, watching the sunset, sitting quietly for 5 minutes. These moments look insignificant, but your life is made from them. Imagine someone giving you a jar containing every ordinary moment of your life. You wouldn't throw away 90% of the jar because those moments weren't exciting. You would suddenly realize those were your life. That's why one of the simplest happiness habits is learning to be where you are. When you're eating, eat. When you're talking to someone, listen. When you're walking, notice where you're walking. When you're drinking coffee, actually taste it. You don't need to turn every moment into a meditation session. Just stop constantly escaping the present, because sometimes happiness isn't missing from your life. Your attention is. And once Daniel understood this, he started doing something very small. Every morning, before touching his phone, he stood by the window for 60 seconds. No music, no notifications, no scrolling, just 1 minute of looking outside. Nothing magical happened, but slowly he started noticing things again. The morning light, the sound of birds, the temperature of the air, and for the first time in years, his life started feeling like something he was actually living. Habit number 2. Have something to look forward to. Here's a habit most people underestimate. Always have something small to look forward to. It doesn't have to be a vacation. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be Friday night pizza, a walk after work, a movie you've been waiting to watch, coffee with a friend, trying a new restaurant, a weekend hike, a book you've been excited to read. Why does this matter? Because happiness isn't only about what you're experiencing right now. Anticipation matters too. Think about the feeling you get before a trip. The trip hasn't even started. You're still at home, but somehow you're already happier. You're checking the weather, looking at places to visit, planning what you're going to do. That little feeling of anticipation gives ordinary days something to move toward. So create small things to look forward to. And here's the important part. Don't make everything about productivity. Your calendar shouldn't only contain work. deadlines, appointments, responsibilities. Goals. Your brain needs something that says, there's something good waiting for me. Daniel started doing this every Sunday. He would write down 3 small things he was looking forward to during the upcoming week. Sometimes they were incredibly simple. Get coffee from my favorite place, call an old friend, watch the movie I've been saving. That's it. But something changed. Monday didn't feel like the beginning of 5 exhausting days anymore. It became the beginning of a week containing little moments he could actually anticipate. And sometimes, you don't need a better life. You need something inside your life that you're excited to notice. Habit number 3, talk to people. You don't need anything from this one is surprisingly powerful. Talk to people without trying to get something from them. A genuine conversation, a quick compliment, asking someone how their day is going, thanking someone, checking in on a friend, talking to a family member without needing a favor. Humans aren't designed to live as isolated individuals, but modern life makes isolation incredibly easy. You can spend an entire day surrounded by people and barely connect with anyone. You can have hundreds of followers and still feel lonely. You can receive dozens of messages and still feel unseen. That's because connection isn't measured by the number of people around you. It's measured by the quality of the moments you share with them. There's a reason a 5-minute conversation with the right person can completely change your mood. You're reminded that you're not alone. You're part of something. You matter to someone. And sometimes the person who needs that reminder isn't you. It might be the person you're talking to. So try something. Once a day, start a conversation without an agenda. Ask the cashier how their day is going. Text an old friend. Call your parents. Compliment someone sincerely. Ask a coworker something about their life. Don't do it because you're trying to become more social. Do it because small human connections are one of the quietest forms of happiness. And Daniel learned something else. He discovered that the conversations he remembered most weren't the expensive dinners or big events. They were the random conversations. The neighbor who told a funny story. The friend who called unexpectedly. The stranger who smiled at him when he was having a terrible morning. Happiness often enters through doors we don't even realize are open. Habit number 4. Keep one part of your life just for fun. Here's where many adults make a mistake. They turn everything into a goal. Exercise becomes calories. Reading becomes productivity. Learning becomes career development. Cooking becomes meal preparation. Travel becomes content. Even hobbies become side businesses. Suddenly, nothing is simply fun anymore. That's why you need something in your life that doesn't have to become anything. A hobby you don't monetize, a skill you don't need to master, an activity you don't need to post online, something you do simply because you enjoy it. Maybe you draw, play guitar, play basketball, cook, garden, build things, take photographs, dance badly in your room, collect records, play video games, whatever it is, let yourself be terrible at it. That's the point. You don't need to be impressive. You need to enjoy yourself. Remember when you were a kid? You could spend an hour building something out of cardboard. Nobody paid you. Nobody liked the post. Nobody gave you a certificate. You just enjoyed doing it. Somewhere along the way, many adults forget how to do things without asking, what is this going to accomplish? And that's a dangerous question if you ask it about everything. Not everything needs to produce a result. Some things are valuable because they make you feel alive. Daniel eventually bought an old guitar. He hadn't played since he was a teenager. He was terrible. His fingers hurt. He missed chords. It sounded awful, but he kept playing. One night, his neighbor heard him practicing and laughed. Daniel laughed too, and for the first time in a long time, he wasn't trying to become better. He was simply enjoying being a beginner again, and that feeling was worth more than he expected. Habit number 5. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. This habit doesn't sound like happiness, but it creates it. Learn to say no. Every yes has a hidden cost. When you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're often saying no to something else. Your rest, your family, your health, your goals, your peace, your time. Yet many people say yes because they're afraid of disappointing others. They think, what will they think of me? What if they get angry? What if they stop liking me? But here's a hard truth. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly managing everyone's expectations. Sometimes protecting your happiness requires disappointing someone, not because you don't care about them, but because you finally understand that your time matters too. Imagine your life as a small house. Every person who enters your life brings something inside. Some bring love, some bring laughter, some bring wisdom, but some bring chaos. And if you never close the door, everything stays inside. Eventually, there's no room for peace. Saying no is not building a wall around yourself. It's putting a door on your life. You decide what enters, you decide what stays, and you decide what needs to leave. Start small. You don't have to become brutally honest overnight. Try saying, I can't commit to that right now. I need some time for myself. I appreciate you asking, but I'll pass. No, I won't be able to. You don't need a 10-minute explanation. Sometimes no is a complete sentence. And when Daniel finally started saying no, something strange happened. His life didn't become smaller. It became quieter. And inside that quiet, he finally had room to hear himself think. Habit number 6. Take care of your future self. Here's a habit that creates a very different kind of happiness. Do small things today that make tomorrow easier. Clean your room before you go to bed. Prepare your clothes the night before. Drink water. Get enough sleep. Put your phone away. Save a little money. Finish the small task you've been avoiding. Prepare your lunch. Write down tomorrow's priorities. These actions don't feel exciting. Nobody celebrates them. But tomorrow, you notices. Think about waking up in a clean room. Your clothes are ready. Your schedule is clear. Your phone isn't exploding with notifications. You have food prepared. You know exactly what needs to happen. There's a quiet sense of control. That's happiness too. Not the loud kind, the peaceful kind. The kind that whispers, I've got myself. And there's something beautiful about becoming the person you can rely on. Most people think self-love means treating yourself. Sometimes it does, but sometimes self-love looks like doing something difficult today so your future self doesn't have to suffer tomorrow. Daniel started with one rule. Before going to bed, he would do 3 things. Clean his workspace, prepare his clothes, write down the most important task for tomorrow. It took less than 10 minutes, but those 10 minutes changed his mornings, and he realized something. Your future self is still you. Treat that person kindly. Habit number 7. Create moments you don't photograph. Now we're getting to the habit I promised you, and this one might be the most important. Create moments you don't photograph. No camera, no story, no post, no proof, just experience. Because something strange happens when you constantly document your life. You can accidentally start living for the record of the moment instead of the moment itself. You go somewhere beautiful and immediately reach for your phone. You eat something amazing and think about taking a picture. You see a sunset and wonder how it will look online. But imagine sitting on a beach at sunset with your phone in your pocket. No picture, no post, no notification. The sunset exists, and that's enough. There's something deeply peaceful about experiencing something that nobody else will ever see. It's yours, a private memory, a moment that doesn't need an audience. Daniel discovered this accidentally. One evening, he was walking home when he noticed the sky turning orange. Normally, he would have taken a picture, but his phone was in his bag. He stopped. He looked up, and for about 5 minutes, he simply stood there. Nobody knew. No one commented. No one pressed a heart. But years later, Daniel still remembered that sunset, and that's when he understood. Not every beautiful moment needs to become content. Some moments are meant to become memories. Habit number 8. Move your body without punishing it. You don't need to become obsessed with fitness to feel better. You simply need to move, walk, stretch, dance, ride a bike, play a sport. Go outside, take the stairs, move for 20 minutes. The goal isn't punishment, it's communication. You're telling your body, I haven't forgotten you. Modern life makes it incredibly easy to stay still. Sit at work, sit in the car, sit on the couch, sit while scrolling. And eventually, your body starts feeling like something you're carrying around instead of something you're living through. Movement changes that. You don't have to wait until you're motivated. Just start moving. Put on a song, walk around the block, stretch while watching television. Go outside for 10 minutes, and don't underestimate small amounts of movement. Sometimes the best workout is simply the one that gets you out of your head. Because when you're stuck overthinking, your thoughts can become a prison. Movement opens the door. Daniel started taking a 20-minute walk after dinner. At first, he did it because he wanted to get healthier, but eventually, something more important happened. His walks became the best part of his day. He thought he noticed the neighborhood, he listened to music. Sometimes he did nothing at all. The walk wasn't just exercise anymore. It became his daily reset button. Habit number 9. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. This habit may be the one silently stealing the most happiness from you. Comparison. You see someone buying a house. You see someone traveling. Someone gets promoted. Someone gets married. Someone becomes successful at 25. Someone looks perfect. And suddenly, your own life feels smaller. But here's what you forget. You're looking at their highlight reel while experiencing your entire life. You see their best moments. You experience your worst mornings. You know your doubts, your mistakes, your unfinished goals, your insecurities. You know every failure you've ever had. You don't know theirs. So stop using incomplete information to judge your life. Your journey doesn't need to look impressive from the outside. It needs to feel meaningful from the inside. Maybe you're slower. Maybe you're starting over. Maybe you're taking a different path. That's okay. A tree doesn't look at another tree and say, I should be taller. It simply grows. And that's your job too. Grow at your pace, in your direction. Daniel eventually deleted several accounts that made him feel like he was constantly behind. Nothing about his external life changed, but his internal world became quieter, and suddenly he could appreciate what he already had. Sometimes happiness doesn't come from adding something. Sometimes it comes from removing the comparison that was making everything you have feel insufficient. Habit number 10. Notice what is already working. And now we reach the final habit, the habit that ties everything together. Notice what is already working. Not everything is perfect, but something is working. Maybe you have one person who genuinely cares about you. Maybe your body carried you through another difficult day. Maybe you have a safe place to sleep. Maybe you're learning. Maybe you're healing. Maybe you're finally becoming more confident. Maybe you're not where you want to be, but you're no longer where you used to be. That's worth noticing. We spend so much time looking at what's missing that we become blind to what's present. Gratitude isn't pretending everything is good. It's refusing to let everything that's bad become the only thing you see. Try this tonight. Before you sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. What went right today? What did I enjoy today? What am I grateful I didn't have to face alone? You might be surprised by your answers, and the more you practice noticing these things, the easier they become to see. Because attention is like a flashlight. Whatever you point it toward becomes brighter. If you constantly point it at problems, problems fill your world. If you start pointing it toward moments of beauty, progress, connection, and possibility, you begin seeing those too. Ending. The real secret to happiness. Remember Daniel? After months of changing these tiny habits, his life didn't suddenly become perfect. He still had stressful days. He still failed. He still got disappointed. He still had problems. But something inside him had changed. He stopped waiting for life to become perfect before allowing himself to enjoy it. One evening, he sat in the same car where he had once asked, "Why am I not happy?" This time, he smiled. He looked at his hands. He thought about his friends, his morning coffee, his walks, his guitar, the quiet moments, the people he loved, and he realized something. Happiness hadn't been a destination waiting somewhere in his future. It had been hidden inside ordinary moments he had been too distracted to notice. And maybe that's true for you too. Maybe you don't need to completely rebuild your life. Maybe you need to start experiencing the life you already have. Slow down. Have something to look forward to. Connect with people. Keep something just for fun. Say no when you need to. Take care of your future self. Create moments you don't photograph. Move your body. Stop comparing. And notice what's already working. Because sometimes, the life you're desperately trying to escape is actually the life you've forgotten to appreciate. So tonight, don't ask yourself, what do I need to get to finally be happy? Ask something different. What is already here that I haven't been noticing? Because you might discover that happiness wasn't missing. You were just looking in the wrong direction.